Welcome to the IVM Podcast Network.
Hey, welcome to Geek Fruit Retcon, where we travel back in time to a previous episode from our inglorious history on the Geek Fruit Podcast. Happy listening, you nerds.
Hi and welcome to Geek Fruit. You're listening to me, Tejas. Jishnu is here and we have a special guest in the studio, Neha. Hi, Neha.
Hey.
So, Neha, I was going to introduce you by saying, Neha's done this, that, she's cool, she's a nerd, meh. But, usually we don't like to get, guests on this show because I don't like to interview people about their life. I don't want to spend 60 minutes talking, but I would love to hear the contribution of a nerd to the things that we already speak about, which is why you're here.
Okay, that's great.
Though,
I can contribute.
having said that, though, 30 seconds, bro. Give me your nerd credentials.
Oh my god,
What are you most or least / proud of in being a nerd?
Oh man, I think my Buffy devotion is the only thing that gets me. Yeah, that's
Sold.
it. Yeah,
I will take it.
Yeah,
we
gladly take it.
Yeah, we accept.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So we have a cool episode today, which is why you're here. We're going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Meta in so many ways. Is the book The Cursed Child? Is the characters.
What?
Is the characters the cursed child? No, so we're going to talk about that. But before we get into that, we have some emails. So we're going to talk about that.
We have quite a few. So the first one...
No, we have two, Jishnu.
That is quite a few. As opposed to a few.
As opposed to, yes. This is true. All right, go.
So the first one I have is from one Saurabh, who is one Dinkar's employer.
Okay, so Dinkar is the co-member of Geek Fruit.
If you've heard our episodes before, you've probably stumbled upon one with him. He's been on
a few.
A handful. He's been on a number.
And which is not 2 episodes, which is what you think few is.
Quite a few.
Yeah, quite a few.
See? Yeah. So Saurabh is great because he was the reason we got to go to the Captain America Civil War premiere.
That's
back
true.
in May. So
he runs Flare Path.
Yeah, so he graced us with that, which was all kinds of epic. So thank you so much again for that. He wrote in last week about our Suicide Squad episode.
Okay, we can't end this Suicide Squad.
No, apparently it will never leave us.
It's chasing us. Yeah,
it will never leave us. So when we ended that episode, we said we had a lot of negative things to say, and we asked people to write in about all the good stuff that they have because it's kind of nice to not hate on shit.
Mm-hmm.
Neha, did you like Suicide Squad? Did you watch it?
What do you think?
I thought it was okay.
All right.
I didn't think it was
I will
horrible.
accept it.
I thought it was okay.
That's far better than crap. Good.
We'll take it.
Okay. Yeah. So Saurabh wrote in talking about the fact that he's a parent and what his kids thought about it. Mm-hmm. So what he said was, as is the custom of my older reality, I am the owner of 2 of the species they call tweens, the kind that wear the size 5 Hogwarts socks that you mentioned in your last podcast, which is true. So, hey, maybe I'll just give him those.
Boom. He's already won them. It's his.
Take it and go. I'm raising them to be proud geeks, so they are fed a healthy diet of geek fruit. Hey, you're doing it right. They're eager and willing to be guided to the worlds of Lucas, Disney, Marvel, and Rowling. Recently, given the opinions of experts such as yourselves, I decided unilaterally that we did not need to see Suicide Squad. I was not prepared for the strength of the resistance from my kids. Apparently, the movie is a huge hit among their friends. Discuss at length, see it multiple times kind of huge. Apparently with the wide ensemble of characters, a lack of judgmental context of past DC executions, no stress about things like plot and maybe horrors, even the music video treatment. This movie really rocked their world. I had no choice but to comply. So he didn't see that coming, but he says that, hey, if the kids liked it, it can't be all that bad, I guess.
No.
It can be. Don't trust kids is basically,
Is that so? I mean,
it was definitely catered to a different audience, right?
We don't know that, though.
I think he has a point in that, I don't think they tried nearly as hard to keep a little thing called integrity with a lot of things that they were doing.
But I don't think specifically it was targeted towards, because this movie was rated R originally, it was supposed to be much darker, and then they went with this whole treatment because they realized, we're too dark, blah blah blah. We've gone over this so many times, Jishnu. But there are these 2 separate kind of generations. I mean, where there's one which is the one which we grew up in, which is the Facebook kind of generation. Now kids are not even on that; they're on Snapchat and so. Sorry. Also, I have a question. Tween. This word is it also teen, or is it early
it's
teenagers?
Almost tween.
11 and 12,
it's
right?
11 and 12.
11 and 12. Because you're in between.
Oh shit! I got it.
Boom.
I got it now.
Shazam.
I don't have kids, Saurabh. Good luck. But yeah, man, that's interesting though that he brought up the whole aspect that kids, first of all, going for this kind of movie.
I'm glad somebody liked it.
Do you think it's because they're not familiar with Suicide Squad, so you watch it for the first time?
Right, exactly.
I mean, said that 98% of the population of the planet, or whoever's watching this movie, not familiar. Not familiar with Guardians either.
Right. Yeah. No, they're not familiar with it. But the thing is, I feel like audiences like us who are very invested in these universes, right? Yeah. We're watching these movies knowing what we already know.
Yeah.
A complete layman audience like a kid who might not have seen any of the other movies a lay kid when they watch these oh Jesus Christ
a lay kid audience, right? No what?
Yeah,
just stop saying it. So when if somebody watches Suicide Squad, like imagine if that's the first comic book movie you've seen.
It's very possible that it has been.
I'm sure that's the case for a lot of people.
Batman vs Superman.
No, I mean there is definitely somebody out there that is a kid who was introduced to comic movies via Suicide Squad.
That's so strange that happened in between BVS and this. I mean, how much older did they grow to be compatible to watch a film like that? I mean, I'd still say that Batman vs Superman is this very well could be the first. Because it came out this year. I'm only talking about chronologically, time-wise, it doesn't make sense.
All I'm saying
X-Men would be everybody's, no?
Anything that came out this year, you're saying? Okay, fine. Let's just say that at some point between BVS and Suicide Squad, a kid was enlightened and said, whoa, comic books, cool.
And then I want to grow up and have a relationship like Joker and Harley. That sounds so cool.
Oh, no.
Yeah, oops.
Oh, no. Yeah, no, but...
okay, let's move swiftly away from Suicide Squad. Thanks, Saurabh. Cool.
Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you very much. Moving on to a good friend of ours we know only too well now. Emil. Emil is back on the show. Emil, right, so it's pretty much
we
almost
really
every
need
week.
to get Emil with Emil.
Yes, this is true, but except he lives in Canada, I believe.
I don't care.
Yeah. Emil. Hello, gents. Here's a fun fact about the Stranger Things. By the way, Saurabh, bullet points. Just putting it out there. Just if you want to reach that Emil standard. Anyway,
this is true.
Here's a fun fact about the Stranger Things. So basically, Stranger Things is an episode we did last week.
Yeah.
He gave us a few pointers. He said, here's some fun trivia. Did you know that the tests done at Hawkins' lab in the show are somewhat true? Back in the 60s, the US government used to test...
MKUltra, the whole...
Yeah, and it was known as the Montauk Project.
Mm-hmm.
Their goal was to create a physiological war machine that can travel time and drive an enemy insane with the touch of a button. Basically, a larger and stronger 11. Here's a link to the same. He also has a theory for the show.
Okay.
And he says the theories. Neha, have you seen Stranger Things?
We should. Have you?
2 episodes.
You've seen two episodes.
We not talk about.
Oh my days.
Okay, so far we're good because you haven't spoiled anything.
You haven't spoiled anything.
Well, there's a...
It's okay.
There's a
I can deal with this. I'm an adult.
All right,
that's
so
fine.
I'm on Twitter.
I'll read out the theory, okay?
Okay.
It says, what if the Demogorgon is human? Question mark.
Okay.
And he has added some stuff which we will tweet on Twitter, and so that we can spare Neha.
Can we not tweet on Twitter, and can we just
tweet
somewhere else?
We can tweet. The only other place to tweet is in real life, Jishnu. So if you're okay with doing that, then I'm fine with it.
That'd be great. Like I could just walk around and announce what I'm doing at all times in 140 characters. You know what I mean?
Like that M. Night Shyamalan film that is coming out. Split. What? Sorry, it's about having a split personality, which would make it less than 140 characters. But okay, cool. Let's move on. All right, so we have no more mail for this week. But if you guys want to write in, you can write to us at contactgeekfruit@gmail.com. You can also just go to the contact tab on our website, geekfruit.in. And I think so we have a winner for all our HP merch, brah. It's going to Saurabh and Emil. I'm sorry,
which is
duty
which is really ironic because Saurabh probably has a ton of stuff that he's got from the same people that we got the stuff from. You know what I mean?
Not necessarily.
Wouldn't he have the stuff?
I think that sly mention of the socks was clearly bait for please give them to me. Saurabh, your wish has been granted. We will send those socks.
But I guarantee
across.
My wish was far more, with a lot more fervor that I be rid of those socks.
Okay, cool.
So I'm happy for you. But
either way,
you're not as happy as I am.
I volunteer for socks.
Do you want socks?
Yes, I love socks.
Do you want child size?
Knees
that's
and
yeah.
And do you like
Gryffindor?
Gryffindor?
No,
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody's gonna go with it. Yeah.
Anywho.
On the note of Gryffindor, we shall take a break and come back talk about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child.
Hi, I'm Amit Verma, the host of the weekly podcast The Seen and the Unseen. In my show, I examine the scene effects and the unintended consequences of public policy and private action. I show how policies meant to help the poor often end up hurting the poor. I've done episodes so far on demonetization, GST, surgical strikes, immigration and MRP. And I will continue my forensic assault on the truth in the weeks to come.
Catch the show every Monday on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you prefer. Or visit sceneunseen.in for all the latest updates.
And we're back. We're talking about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. Okay, cool. So now this book is not even a book. We just said that it's actually a script. In fact, it's not even a full... It's a rehearsal script.
It's a rehearsal script.
So what's the difference between a script and a rehearsal script? Just before we get into it, I don't know. Is there
not
any
much. There's
discernible
really,
difference?
There's really not much.
Is there less stage directions so that... I don't
Less
know.
improv, I guess. I don't know. There was enough in this. There were enough stage.
It was
Yeah,
packed with
this
stage
seemed
direction.
like a legit script.
yeah.
So I don't know why.
The point of a rehearsal script is that you can then take that and
legit.
execute it.
Yeah.
And whereas the kind of scripts you study in school, like when you're studying Shakespeare in school,
Right.
you're not studying from a rehearsal script.
Right.
Because
it's a story
it's
script.
it's been
So do you think
amended
it's
for
it's
literary
because post maybe their preview shows or after that, then they revise part of it? Like,
Yeah, of course.
just
They do that, yeah,
to
just
make
see
the
what works.
impact.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Fair enough. So okay, so that we've cleared that up. The second question is that it's Harry Potter and the Cursed Child parts 1 and 2.
Yep.
Now, why is it in 2 parts? Is it because it's 2
it's
plays?
very, very long.
Okay.
It's 5.5 hours
Oh.
runtime.
Oh, so
So when you watch the play, you will only watch the first part, and that'll kill 2.5 hours of your life.
Oh.
You physically will not be able to sit through this entire thing in one sitting.
So
And
the way
neither will
they've-
the actors be able to.
They've said it that you should go and watch it in the same day, like take a break
Of
and then
course,
watch
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But or you can watch it on like whatever
Yeah.
subsequent days or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
So, but there's no way you can watch both performances back to back, is it?
No, I don't think so. I
There's
think
not.
it'll
I
be
mean,
lined
unless
up.
you buy, unless
So
they
there
put it on.
there is a gap between the two shows. Like you can't. They never do
Yeah.
a full
No,
sitting.
I think
Okay.
because they'll have to change the entire set as well, right?
Because the
Like-
set design is so
Yeah.
intricate.
I
That's
see.
like I don't.
Yeah, from whatever
Yeah.
I've read in it,
Yeah.
it just
Apparently
seems.
that's the-
Hey, guys! Spoiler alert.
Oh.
Nice.
Boom.
Saved
I
everyone.
remembered. We were bad about
Yeah,
this.
we
Okay,
know.
no, it's
We
fine.
But I
Throw
mean,
it at
like,
me.
if you're getting into a podcast which is about roughly 60 minutes, I
Yeah.
mean, this is only so much you can, like,
Oh.
beat around the bush.
Oh,
But anyway.
you have to do this.
Yeah, we have to
Some people
spoiler
do
alert.
this.
Yeah.
People
All
have
right.
called us out on this, which
Oh.
as they should.
Hey, guys.
As they should.
In fact,
Yeah.
it was a meal.
It was.
All right. Okay. So coming
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
So now let's just preface. This book is coming. I don't know how many years after the last book came out. Maybe
19
10
years later. No, it wasn't.
I don't
About
know.
10 years now.
Feels
It's
like
more
it.
than that.
Okay.
Feels yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
And there was only one way to kind of continue from it because of that Terabad epilogue,
Yeah.
which is there in the.
That was
in the-
ridiculous.
It was a
Yeah.
bad
It
epilogue.
spoiled
It was not a very
It
good
spoiled
It leaves a sour taste in the
Yeah.
mouth, especially
Yeah.
at the end of something that you've like cherished for so
Yeah,
long.
yeah.
And this kind of picks up immediately after that,
Yeah.
and it's got to do with their kids. Let's name them so people know what a disappointment those names are. So Harry Potter is married to Ginny, has 2 kids. James has 3 kids.
James.
James, Lily, but
Yeah.
the kid in question is.
Albus Severus.
James
Yeah.
Sirius, Lily Luna, and
my God.
Albus Severus. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like, let's
Yeah.
what friends do we
Right.
have?
Okay, so my very first thought when I saw that his kids were James, Lily, and Albus was that. Isn't it a little unfair to Ginny that like your kids are named after your parents? What about
Yeah.
my parents? Why don't we call
I
them
thought
Arthur?
that as well.
Why don't we call them Arthur
Dude,
and
what about Fred?
friggin-
Who's
yeah.
the one? Who's the twin who
Fred
died?
who died.
Fred, yeah.
Fred. There's no
Fred
Fred.
let's not
who
talk
died.
about that, guys.
Sorry, spoiler.
Fred who
alert.
died from now on will only be referred to as Fred who died.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
just so you don't confuse
it's
him with
like,
the other Fred.
It's like what's his name? Yeah, but yeah. So Fred. I mean, it's a
Also, like-
raw end of a deal.
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait, it does not end there.
Yeah, it gets better.
Draco Malfoy
Yeah.
has a kid
Yeah.
whose name is Scorpius.
I think
Yes.
it's lovely, guys. I love it.
But every time they refer to him as a Scorpion
dramatic.
King, I could not help but picture
Think of
Dwayne
The
the
Rock.
Dwayne Dwayneson. I was like,
that's
Yeah,
that's
the
amazing.
Scorpion
Like,
King.
I'm so glad they just name dropped Scorpion King in this so much. I was like, that's brilliant. I was like,
Yeah,
I would love to be called Scorpion King.
Okay. All right. Okay. So we have gone way ahead of ourselves.
Okay, let's. Can we just backtrack?
Let's
The
preface. Jishnu, go.
blanket opinions. So, Neha, you did not enjoy.
I did not.
Okay.
I think a 5-year-old could have written a better script.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Tejas?
I much enjoyed it.
Okay.
I thought there was there was very few ways to tackle this, and they had a good idea in what they could do, because so here's my reason for why I think, just a very general reason, is because there's so many expectations lashed onto this,
of course,
obviously, and I think the whole book has really got to do with that. The whole book has got to do with expectations, and this kid who has, is living under the shadow of that. So I think that is I think that's a fair way to take it, because if you just look at it, Harry Potter did not have parents. He had a shitty childhood. The only way he was going to raise his kid was with issues, and something I just particularly relate to. So I think I just really enjoyed it for that reason. Because I had troubles in my childhood, so I relate to that a lot. So I thought that that was the only way he was going to raise his kid. So there was no kind of going away from that. Having said that, though, the means that they've used to tell that story, there's a few questionable moments. But overall, I think where the story headed, instead of something really, really far-fetched, creating a brand new villain in that sense, this made sense to me. And I thought, okay, cool, this is not terrible. This is a good idea somewhere in this book, and I liked what they did with it. I enjoyed it. Jishnu, go ahead.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
I found myself. I was surprised myself.
Okay.
I was very surprised myself.
Yeah.
And I'll put it this way. So I am not the biggest Harry Potter fan by a long shot, right?
Yeah.
And I've read all the books. I've seen all the movies. I love the books a lot.
Isn't that strange though? That you can be you could have read all the books and watched all the movies, and you don't have to be a mega fan. That's so strange. No, because usually anything that I've really invested more than one book at a time, and this was quite a craze, and everyone is into it. But we're left thinking, well, right, that's done.
So when I say I really loved it, I loved it in the same way that I loved every prior book. Okay. Now the movies are a different thing, because the movies, you assess them from a different perspective. But,
they're terrible.
But with the books, like I said, they didn't really stick with me in that I didn't become a uber fan about them. But when I was reading those books, like when I was reading this one, I was really enamored by it, and I was lost completely in it. And when the big ending moments happen at the end of Act 1, at the end of Act 3, when those big reveals happen, I found myself going "Whoa!" Because I felt great being back in this world. It's just been so long since I've been here.
That was my problem with it, though.
All right,
Okay,
so Neha, go ahead.
Go ahead. So what's the problem?
No, I felt okay, so you have a whole wizarding world you can explore, right?
Sure.
You can do so much with this, but you're going to pander to the audience and then revisit things that already exist.
Yeah, I knew that was going to be ridiculous.
That's ridiculous, right? Let's just talk about how this could have gone if we did it this way.
For example, let's just do that. So, so one of the big plot devices in the story is the time turner, right? So bringing back the time turner immediately kind of tells us where it's going to go. So because that's my point also, that it's kind of rooted in the past. I mean, Harry is ultimately the principal figure of all these books. This book is also called Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, not Albus Severus and the terrible name, but and the no good, very horrible day. It's not something he can escape. That past is always going to live with him, and it's basically what Amitabh Bachchan and Abhishek Bachchan are going through. Also, all right? No, this is a joke. This is a joke.
You did not,
but it's true.
Tejas, you have not sat through. I got paid to film an hour-long motivational speech by Abhishek Bachchan talking to some corporate company, 300 people in the audience.
What did he talk about?
He was giving them a motivational speech for this 5-day-long retreat that these guys were on. This is complete aside.
So you love your job.
Is it?
It paid well that day. That was a good day. But hey, he was talking for an hour about how this company that has gone into a horrible loss this previous year and spending lakhs of money at this corporate retreat to fly Abhishek Bachchan down. He was talking to them for 1 hour saying guys, I know you've had a hard time. Even in my life, I too have had a very hard time living in my father's shadow. But if I can get through it and own an award-winning kabaddi team, which by the way you guys should all go to. It was great. He told kabaddi stories
it's called,
10 minutes.
The Pink Panthers or something.
Yeah, the Pink something or the other.
Jaipur Pink Panthers.
Pink Panthers,
Anyway, why am I talking about Abhishek
Is that a
Bachchan?
copyright infringement? Sorry.
What?
Pink Panthers?
It is though, right?
It is?
Must be.
Okay, so coming back.
Anywho.
So my point is that Abhishek Bachchan's career is always going to be like, it's like if Sachin's kid gets into cricket, he's screwed, man. That guy is.
Abhishek told a great Sachin anecdote about one time that he and Abhishek. No, he did. He told me. He said he shared a kabaddi.
We're going to link this speech on the website, so when the episode comes out. All right. So moving. So coming back. So that time turner thing is the only way they could really kind of revisit this past, which seems to crop up every time Harry's life is like in question, or he's having this. It's a midlife crisis story also.
Yeah.
So I mean, I thought that was.
What do you do when you're done saving the world?
Yeah, exactly. You know.
Yeah.
No, but I'm so sorry. But I feel like the time turner was the weakest device they could have used, right? Like Rowling didn't believe in the time turner either. She's like, oh, that's a stupid idea. Let's just get rid of it in the 5th book.
Is it because it's too easy, right?
It's too easy because she says, where are my future plots if I'm going to give Hermione a time turner to like study more?
Right.
Fair enough.
You can change everything.
Sure.
So what's the point? Yeah.
So that was you thought that was the weakest
That was so
thing of the
stupid,
entire.
But just to bring that back, the third book in which the time is introduced is arguably the best book, my favorite book, and my favorite movie as well.
Likewise.
True.
So I mean, is it really the time turner that is the time travel is a big part of science fiction? It's always going to be there. It's always going to be used as a means. Ultimately, it's the story that you tell, and I think. For me, the problem was, and here's what I didn't like about the book. I didn't think that taking on Cedric Diggory's storyline. So basically, they try, and his arc begins with them trying to rescue Cedric so that he can atone for some kind of sins that his father's. Yeah. So I thought that was out of all the mistakes that Harry has made, why is that
was a
one,
very, very specific,
he's got
random
other people killed.
He's gotten people, but but that's the thing you got to live with, right? Yeah. Okay. So I mean, there's a really good quote in the book which says, how many people have died for the boy who lived, and that's something that exists like throughout the 7 books, but it's not questioned because, dude, you have a prophecy on your shoulders.
They were called the Wizarding Wars. The point of a war is that people will die, and people did die, and so I mean,
Fred who died.
Fred who died.
So I agree. Yeah, him randomly just choosing Cedric for whatever reason was random, like I said, and also the way in which that moment happened. Like I loved the fight that Harry and
his father
Amos.
had.
Amos Diggory.
No, Albus and Harry, which led to. Yeah, I know. So Albus and Harry had a fight, and then the whole blanket was exchanged and then thrown away and all that. Like that moment in his bedroom, that was cool. And then he runs away and throws a tantrum. Fine, cool. And then all of a sudden he gets an idea like, Cedric Diggory, this one guy I'm going to go back and like, what? Like, where did that idea come from?
I'll show you, Dad. I'll do what you couldn't do.
But so how old is this kid in
14?
the book?
14.
Okay, so safe to say, he's an idiot. All right. So here's the other thing, though. I mean, he's not a tween, so we saw your kids are cool.
An emo kid, which is as bad. I mean,
he's an emo kid.
He's a kid, which means he's emo. Yeah, he's a teenager, which means he's going to be emo.
Exactly.
Like, it's going to happen. That's fine.
But here's the other thing, though. Oh shit! I just got to the random. Is the Wizarding World? Did they invent Snapchat by having moving pictures? Sorry, I just thought of this. I just thought
they don't have filters in their pictures.
This is true. Okay, so coming back, but this kid, the only reason why it happens is because, I mean, he overhears this conversation which happens in his house, and at the same time he meets the character Delphi.
Delphi.
So he meets Delphi, and so that kind of strikes a thought in his head, which is why he goes ahead with it. So that's the only reason why I said, okay, cool, because of a conversation, what's the first thing you can do to get back at your father? See that, and the first thing that happens to him after that conversation is this whole interaction with Amos Diggory. So it's a thing.
Yeah,
it's
like a knee-jerk reaction. But the thing is, I feel like
he needs stimulus.
He went way too far.
Though. I think he did it for Delphi. I think because he's a teenage boy.
Fair enough.
Fair point.
I agree. I think you're absolutely right about that. But again, Delphi just showed up out of nowhere. But I mean, she is the villain, so yeah, she is supposed to come up out of nowhere. See? We thought ahead about that. See, we were good this time. But yeah, so since she is a villain, her introduction is it always should be a little like odd that way. But yeah, I think that he just went a little too far into that rabbit hole. Like, as a knee-jerk reaction to get back at Dad, like, I'm going to go all the way there.
Yeah, as a stimulus for the rest of the story to unfold, I don't think the Cedric Diggory thing was the strongest way they could have gone. Yeah. But otherwise, to reach where they did, which is to see a world, or at least several worlds, in which Harry lost, or somebody else won, or somebody didn't do something. It was very. What am I looking for? What is the word I'm looking for?
Alternate timeline.
Alternate timeline, but like not Groundhog's Day, but everything like
community.
It's it's that whole butterfly effect, basically. That's really what stems the thing. But I think they've used that to show us. So they've used us to do two things. One is to obviously, you're saying catering to this audience. Yeah, I think it very much is catering to the audience to see what would happen. It's a what if thing, if Harry didn't win. So that's a cool way to show the audience that. At the same time, it's also to show the effect that Harry has had on the world. If anybody forgot it in these 19 years that has passed.
Yeah.
And dude, tell me it was not cool when Snape walks in again.
My God.
Oh man,
That was great.
Oh my
That
God.
was great.
Yeah,
I felt stuff.
I felt feels
I
in a
felt
lot of
feels.
moments.
I
There are a lot of feel moments for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also bringing up, I think a lot of it is also like, social commentary that has happened after the fact. So after, this whole thing got over, the Potter series got over, so many bits of information that came out. Oh, Dumbledore's gay. Oh, this is what happened. This is what he thought of this one. Or this is what somebody else
Neville
thought.
drinks a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Adulthood. That's how it goes.
Exactly. And and a lot of it was released through Pottermore, which is the only way you can purchase this book on Amazon Kindle. Jesus Christ. How difficult was it for me to get this book? Sorry, just an aside. Like, what happens in plays.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
Man, you just need to find a friend that has it already and just like,
Yeah?
Oh, how did
Is
you
that
do
your-
that, Jishnu?
It worked out really well.
Is that your first degree of separation?
That's
of
my
how-
first degree of separation from Harry Potter.
All right, so but coming back, so I really did think that a lot of stuff that has happened in this book was also a reaction to what fans thought of the series. That entire really awkward conversation which happens between Dumbledore and Harry was
I love.
which is really what everybody was thinking. Post
but
that saying, why would you send a kid to fight somebody for 7 years, like a villain for 7
I
years?
disagree. I felt like they dealt with that, right? In the last book, they dealt with it. They said, hey, I'm sorry for putting you out there.
Yeah.
You're just a kid. And he's like, yeah, you suck, Voldemort.
Like the minute the pensieve was introduced, I think that's when they started
enough.
And he apologized. So you don't
Doing
need to
about that,
get
yeah.
like a half-assed painting.
Yeah.
Harry.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
And also,
Everybody
the-
has daddy issues, basically.
Yeah.
This is true. Everyone does,
Yes.
and I think. So that's where this book kind of works in many ways, like that, and also we have to kind of understand that this is not just it's not a book, it's a script.
Yeah.
So I really want to
There are a
see
lot
how
of
this
things.
it's supposed to be
unfolds.
I have a lot of things to say about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But before we get into the actual, like, talking about the play and the production of it, I think I want to say the strongest thing for me, which I think, now that you mentioned Azkaban, my favorite thing about this book, which I think it shares with Azkaban, is that Azkaban set up Sirius Black, right?
Yeah.
And we never got more screen time and face time than in Azkaban with Sirius
Yeah.
Black. After Azkaban, he became a hermit, and
Yeah.
he'd show up now and again. And those were great moments when he did show up.
Yeah.
But we loved Azkaban, I think, primarily because
He's a
Harry
badass.
Harry Potter and the trio have been established. We know how great they are. We know they're fun. We know their quirks. And then we spent all of that one book getting to know this guy who's brooding and mysterious and really cool, and he's a badass in his own way. And so in this book, what I loved were the Scorpius.
Yeah,
Bits,
Albus.
yeah.
Scorpius bit.
Scorpius is
Scorpius
by far
is
my
a
favorite
great-
character.
He's a great
It's
guy.
basically,
and
he's 14, but forget that. Otherwise, moving on.
Nice,
Yeah.
Oops.
nice.
Well done.
Yeah,
Cool.
But yeah, you're right, and I think I mean the Harry Potter series has been very generational. Like you're right. In Azkaban we find out about the previous trio, which was Lupin, Sirius, and James, and we get to see a lot of that. We get to see in the 7 books the whole of Harry Potter. And in this book, I mean, it was kind of disappointing when I started reading it. I don't know if you felt the same way, but we skip a lot of years through transitions and stuff. I was like, oh, why is that not important?
Yeah.
But obviously you have to realize that it has to come to a pivotal moment
Yeah.
before this
Yeah.
can happen. So I definitely enjoyed the Albus Scorpius thing because Scorpius is a chiller,
My
man. He's such a chill
thing.
dude.
What do you mean by thing?
Their thing. Yeah,
Their
there was a lot of
thing.
homoerotic.
Yes,
The bromance.
guys.
Yeah.
There's a lot of homoerotic
it's not
moments.
romance. There was definitely there was something there.
There was something, which is fine.
cool.
Which is great.
All right.
Except.
Great. Nobody wants to. Why aren't they addressing
Well,
it? though?
because
It just-
he clearly had a thing for Delphi,
That-
and
Yeah.
Scorpius, even though he
had a thing for like
that
that
was
other-
just.
yeah, there was
What? Wait. Oh, I'm not going to think of my dead mum,
Yeah.
but I'm going to think of you, Albus, because you're so special.
It's
So only
true.
because you're such a good friend.
It's true.
You know,
True.
is
Okay,
that-
yeah. I
So
forget.
did
I
you
forget
guys guess
when
that
did-
Delphi was the villain? Because I
No.
did
No,
in
I
about an
didn't.
act earlier.
I didn't. No.
Because everything else is fairly well explained. Like that's the only way I always catch these things. In Half-Blood Prince, it was the same thing. I guess the ending for the simple reason is that whenever they don't let on, everything else will tell you this is everything we know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
here's like, oh yeah, I don't talk about this. It's just like there's something there.
Yeah.
There's something there.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the only thing where I was like, okay, cool. But I didn't.
Did you guess who she was? Like her parentage and all
Well,
that?
the
That
only
was-
reason that they foreshadowed it by saying, oh, Scorpius has been called, the kid of
Yeah.
Voldemort. So I was
Yeah.
like, but I didn't think it would be related to Voldemort. I thought there would be, I thought it would be related to Voldemort, not maybe maybe the kid of Voldemort, which is who she is. By the way, who is the mother again?
Bellatrix.
Bellatrix.
Which makes...
She cheated. She cheated on the Lestrange relationship.
and her husband came back to tell Delphi that...
That I did not get. I didn't quite
So how did he
understand
get
that.
out of
There was one sentence. It was just
Azkaban?
literally one line
Yeah.
where he said, what was it again?
I forgot his
Something. It was
name.
something about, it was in the Malfoy
Manor.
mansion.
Yeah.
Malfoy Manor.
Yeah.
And her husband, what's his name? Some long name.
Bellatrix Lestrange's husband?
Yeah, I forget. Anyway, Mr. Lestrange.
Mr. Lestrange.
When
yeah.
basically, the line was something about Mr. Lestrange comes back and says, by the way,
You're Voldemort's kid.
yeah. And he's like,
Hey,
all right.
well, she cheated on me. I'm out.
Yeah,
Well, it's
it was so
Dark
like,
Lord,
it was like a
it's
throwaway,
all good,
like,
yeah.
dubs.
Unless it's one of those weird scenes, like, I don't know
Because
if
he's
you've
the
seen...
cult leader.
Yeah,
Please,
he's like, please use my
impregnate.
Yeah.
surrogacy.
I'm sure it must have been that.
But he has a functioning reproductive system. That's what I'm confused about.
But he only
Voldemort
doesn't have a
just-
nose, Neha.
It's just the
That's
nose.
it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess.
Just the
Yeah,
nose. that
Michael
is
Jackson
missing.
didn't have a nose.
Anywho.
All right, we're
All
going
right,
to take
let's
a short break.
And then
and-
let's talk about the production. I want to
Yeah,
talk about the
let's talk about how
play.
this is probably going to be produced or is being produced currently, and we'll talk about Dinkar's comments on the same. Let's see if they match with any of ours.
Hi, I'm May, and I'm a huge fan of the indie music scene in our country. A scene that's relatively underground, even though it sometimes speaks its head overground. But there's no shortage of talent, and I get the privilege of interviewing some of the most awesome musicians on my show. I've had the likes of Euphoria, Krish Kale, Hardcore, Randolph Correa. I've had singer-songwriters, folk singers, electronic music producers, playback singers, rappers, fusion artists, instrumentalists, classical musicians, and so on. Whether mainstream or not, these people have chosen to release their original music, and these are the people currently shaping the direction in which our music scene is heading. Join me on my show every Monday and tune in to discover the unique talent coming out of India today. You can catch Made in India on your favorite podcasting app or our very own IVM podcast app.
Cool, we're back. We're talking about Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It's Tejas, Jishnu, and Neha. All right, cool. So we have Dinkar, who's not here, but is usually here on some of our episodes, and he said, "Oh man, I really had thoughts on this. I couldn't make it." So I asked him to mail it to us, and in bullet point, though they are paragraphs.
Like a pro.
Yeah, so
Like
he
a
kind of-
semi-pro.
Semi-pro. He kind of subverted the whole bullet point thing. All right, cool. So his point number 1.
Yeah.
In the long gap between book 4 and 5, I got into a ton of Harry Potter fan fiction. There were moments in TCC, The Cursed Child, that I felt the same way I did when reading some of those, that it was trying to get close to the HP world but wasn't right. So he felt it was like, it kind of had that fan fiction vibe.
Yeah, it did.
But do you feel, so just to contest that, do you feel that any form of fiction that is continuing a franchise which has previously existed is going to feel that way?
It's going to feel that way. But I read better fan fiction though.
Yeah, there was one we've spoken about earlier.
Oh, which one?
The Harry Potter one, which I read in school. It was kind of like a erotic fan fiction.
The erotic one.
Have you read the erotic fan fiction with Friend George?
Oh,
That's
no.
where you stop.
That's where you
That's
stop.
where you stop.
That's the end of that tunnel. Okay.
Well, then you must have been happy with that Albus Scorpius thing that is going on.
But I do agree with your point. I mean, like there were tons of moments in this when I was reading it that I saw echoing a lot of my sentiments. I found my sentiments echoed a lot of my sentiments about Force Awakens.
Yeah.
In that whole trope of like it's been ages and we're putting out another one.
But
which is
Force Awakens
fine.
doesn't feel like fan fiction.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. See,
But
like,
is
the
it a difference
extended
between
universe, it wasn't-
movies and
I haven't
and
read.
writing?
Thing is, I haven't read any Harry Potter fan fiction. So to me,
Okay.
and I haven't read any. I haven't seen any Star Wars fan fiction. I haven't seen anything significant really. So to me, no, it doesn't because I don't have a basis to.
No, but any fan
Base it
fiction,
off
for
of
that
that.
for that matter, the way it basically uses the things that you love about it to kind of,
Yeah.
revive those feelings.
Revive
That's called a
those, yeah.
sequel. That's
fair
making a
enough.
continuing story. It's like, okay, yeah, you have the same characters or you have a
So,
similar
Dinkar,
tropes,
your
you know.
point has been refuted. Point number 2.
Moving on.
He starts with, ooh. It was like talking to someone and slowly realizing it's not them. It's an imposter who chugged polyjuice potion. So that's his second thought.
Well
He's
done,
like,
Yeah.
Dinkar.
he feels like this book feels like a polyjuiced.
I definitely
It is.
got a little frustrated when the polyjuice stuff happened because
That's been kind of, is it overused?
it is.
It is overused.
It's a useful-
the
it's
time
too
turner.
easy to
the-
make,
okay,
so
here's the thing: the time turner is given all this like extra powers. Like this is this epic device that must be put away because it's bad and all that. Fine, fair enough, cool. Yeah, don't mess with time. Cool. And so the Ministry of Magic puts it away. They lock it up. Fine, great. But then polyjuice potion and the invisibility cloak are still willy-nilly just like, do it. Like, the point of...
You made it
you
so
should
easy.
ban it
You should
completely.
know, yeah.
Like, if you're banning time turners, why aren't you banning Polyjuice Potion? Because they're equally used for
No, you
nefarious...
can't ban Polyjuice Potion because it has to be made.
Yeah,
it has
I
to
mean,
be
but you know what I mean.
concocted.
Like, take some ingredients out of the equation or
Dude,
something.
it's like making C4. You can make a bomb literally out of soap. You know, you can do
ban
anything.
bombs,
Right.
You can't ban that.
The thing is, these guys are making it so easily.
Yeah.
Like, at the drop of a hat,
See,
we need
that
some
was-
boom. Here
yeah.
it is. It's like, what?
Okay, so think about all the people who've used Polyjuice Potion in the last, say, 20 years of this Harry Potter
We
saga.
will never know because
Okay,
that's
one
the
is
problem with
Hermione.
Polyjuice Potion.
True.
See what I mean?
Okay, Hermione.
Yeah.
I think there's only been when Mad-Eyed Moody uses in the last book, but all the people who have done it have some certain amount of skill, and it just so happens that these are the people's stories who we're reading because they are the most interesting people, which is why I think it works. The second thing is that I think why we're getting all of these things back, Time Turner, Polyjuice Potion, Invisibility Cloak, is because obviously they want a cool way to execute it on stage. Like they want to see that happen
That's
on
fine.
stage. Yeah.
I think that's why I said I'm not like completely put off by the fact that Polyjuice plays a big role in this, but just since the Time Turner was given so much emphasis at that, like it's illegal and you can't have it.
Right.
I'm like, great, that makes complete sense to me. Why you should keep it away? But then why aren't you doing it for the other stuff?
So I think it may even be the case that it is banned. You are not allowed to use it. It's like having any drug ban, but still you still
The
have
thing was
users.
the Time Turners weren't banned. They were just kind of destroyed. They're not destroyed. They were in an infinite loop. They just happened to have one. And like, let's not put it out there. That's
This
all.
is
It
true.
wasn't banned. It was...
But
Fair enough.
Okay, and also so to come back. Okay, let's finish Dinkar's points.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Yeah.
The best part of JKR's writing and the books was her, in parenthesis, very British, descriptions of situations and places. A dialogue-driven play is not a great format for HP, is what he feels. Interesting.
That's a very
Well,
production
play,
point.
guys.
the British writing style, maybe he's got a point there. But I think actually that begets another question: why did they choose to continue the story via a play?
That is the question of the millennium. As far as the world of Harry Potter is concerned, I think
Why
that
is
is
it
the
big?
big. That will remain the biggest question that I don't think anybody can
Is it
honestly
because
give you a direct answer.
I got it.
because
I've
there's
got the
like-
answer.
No.
Tell me, what do you
No,
think?
I don't know.
I think it's because in a play, you get to sell the script for a bunch of money and make people read as a book. You get to make people watch as a play, and then its inevitable movie will also make
Happen,
sales.
yeah.
Very true. Yes,
Sure.
it's a great business
boom,
model,
boom.
and it's nice because it's a new idea as far as big
absolutely.
multi-billion-dollar
Yeah.
franchises. But I think it's also got something to do with the stunt that Lucas pulled. In that he says, "Hey guys, I have sort of stories written. I have a future mapped out for you. You can take whatever you want from that. Move things around, but I have the blueprints for you.
Yeah.
I want somebody else to make this
do
for
it for
me,
me.
which is what's happening now. So when she writes a script, or rather she made the story, somebody else writes a script, and then somebody else takes that script and then directs it.
Yeah.
So she says, here are the beats of the story.
Right.
Here are the characters. Here's what they're like. Here's their vibe. Here's the energy of the story. I want you to now. You will now
Do the
make.
groundwork.
Yeah, like I can't.
But she was
the thing
involved
is-
in this. I mean, she was
so
heavily
the thing
involved.
is, being a play, right? You can't get too descriptive with your. There's a limit to how descriptive you can get with your action lines, and
yeah,
you can't
to do
really. You
mise en
can't
scène
paint.
and
You
stuff,
can't
yeah.
paint the painting too vividly because. You need to leave it open for your art director to come in and then paint the stage the way they're going to paint it, right?
True.
So in that vein, she has sort of like relinquished some power, basically, because that's why she took so long to write this, right? Because she was like, I don't know if I want to do it. And people were like, no, please, meh. So you're like, okay, fine, I'll do it. Same thing with Lucas, right? He's like, no, I don't want to do it. Please, fine, I'll do it. But here's the caveat. I'll
You
only
owe me
do
$4 billion.
One, you owe me $4 billion. At least, well, that goes without saying. I wouldn't do it if you didn't pay me $4 billion. But I'll give you a story, but you guys need to like run with it because I'm not going to invest
Any more time in this?
Yeah,
She
like-
has better things to do.
Yeah.
Because I'm retired.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
She
pretty
doesn't
much
need
it.
to do it. And
Alright, cool.
this can set precedent now for more plays
Very
and for
true.
more whatnot, which
There you
again
go,
she doesn't
Dinkar.
have to be involved in.
Dinkar, point number 4 is what you said. That said, sorry. That said, there were moments where I was wondering how this was actually staged because I couldn't imagine some of the magic and special effects actually being executed on stage.
Sure.
Every review of the actual stage production that I've seen calls it an amazing spectacle.
Yeah.
So maybe that's the ideal way to experience this.
Obviously.
He concludes by saying, burn this after
Absolutely.
reading.
Burn this
Absolutely.
after reading.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Like the polyjuice, right? How do you show that? How do you show the polyjuice
How do you show
wearing off?
time travel? Like,
How do you-
I don't know. Does this? I believe the stage actually rotates.
it has to rotate. It's gotta, lit physically.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like-
that's not a big thing. That's a Broadway
Yeah.
standard. Like
Yeah.
most Broadway stages will have 3 stages.
Yeah.
Three
fair
stages minimum.
Yeah.
Some of them have more.
Did you catch the Beauty and the Beast musical that happened?
No, I did not.
In
Yeah,
did you?
Nope,
So it was great. I mean, it was not 3 stages, but it was the size of 3 stages. It was huge. So there was stuff going on in like 100 different places.
Yeah.
It was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think similarly in this case, I mean, because there's so many jumps between first of all time itself in a
Yes,
chronological
time
order,
itself.
Yeah.
and then going back into the past itself,
Yeah.
and especially since there's a whole bit where there's a part where the Dark Lord wins the entire thing, the Battle of Hogwarts.
Yeah, yeah.
And so you have to kind of convey a sense of dread and everything.
so-
And just Dementors, how do you even show
Right,
that, right?
yeah.
Funnily enough, the guy who directed Once is the director of this, wrote this play.
Jack
John
Wong.
Carney?
Not John Carney. Yeah, I think
John-
one of those
wait,
guys.
no.
John
No.
Tiffany or something. The guy who did Once. So I was actually
John
surprised.
Carney did Once.
There was no musical element in this. I was hoping
I'm
for
okay
a
with
very
that.
Harry Potter
I'm okay with
musical.
Yeah.
But
But no, so one thing, like obviously probably the biggest moment for me was when the writing was on the ceiling, right? Because again, of the way that it's revealed, that like
Yeah,
I loved every time
sorry,
that it
what
said,
is
like,
the writing on the ceiling again?
that she is
Oh,
the,
she's the
daughter.
The Augury, yeah.
It's kind of like how Tom
shows-
Marvolo.
yeah.
Speaking of, what was that word you just said?
The Augury.
The
Right.
Augury.
I love that again. They've introduced words that nobody knows how to pronounce.
yeah.
I'm like,
Oh, is it not Augury? Is it not?
I know.
Oh, no.
I'll wait for the movie and then we'll
Yeah,
know.
there
Basically.
you go.
Or she'll do it cleverly, like how she described Hermione's
Yeah,
name in the
yeah,
fourth
yeah.
book. Yeah.
But so that writing moment was epic, and I loved like when the Dementors come, they come from behind the audience and
Yeah.
above. Like I just can't imagine what that's like. But so knowing all these things, right? It's the weird conundrum of like hey, there's a new Star Wars movie coming out. That's amazing. What if I could give you the script right now? Would you love to read the script, or would you rather wait?
So true.
And so
Very
like I
true.
know for a fact. Like, that anybody and everybody that's read the script, if they're lucky enough to see the play, the minute they walk in, you're going to look up.
Yeah.
You're like, where is it? I want to
Yeah.
see, can I see the ink? Can I see,
Yeah.
like, the the
Yeah.
black lighting, something?
Yeah.
Like, that's what they
Yeah.
have to do, right? It's got to be written on the ceiling somehow. And then you have to cover it up and then reveal it
Later.
just at the right moment and cover it back up again.
Yeah.
And the stage is full of stuff like that, right?
Yeah. The bookshelf
entire
scene.
audience. Yeah, the
That's
bookshelf.
supposed to be amazing.
Like, I
was,
genuinely cannot fathom how
How
they're
that
doing
happened,
this.
yeah.
Because
And-
there's so many different locations. I mean, like, I don't know how they did platform 9 3/4 where they go through a wall.
Jesus.
You know,
It's-
I
mean,
can
it's a
only
wall.
imagine it in my own school's
Oh.
Yeah.
production budget,
Yeah.
which is like put a cloth and paint it.
And so, have either of you
Tear
guys seen Wicked?
I've not seen
No,
it, but I know
not
I'm
yet.
well
So,
versed. I've read it,
so,
and
so I
I've-
saw Wicked in London, and it was just phenomenal. And
Yeah.
so there's the one moment at the end of Defying Gravity, which
Yeah.
is like the song
Where
right?
she,
where
like,
she
lifts
literally
up-
defies gravity. And she flies for the first time, and it's a big thing because it is
Hmm.
the first time somebody's flown on a broom in the play in the world of Oz. They're like, "Whoa, flight! What is that?" And so it's really cool and it's
Yeah.
epic, and it's such a big momentous moment, and the way they do it is very simple, but it's beautiful to see in its simplicity because it's she's wearing all black. She walks to the back of the stage, so
Yeah.
she's standing in front of the backdrop, which is equally dark and shadowy and covered in mist and whatnot. Somebody just ties her up to some wires, and then they strap on a very, very long, 50-foot long cloak. And so when she rises,
Yeah.
you see this
Floating.
giant cloak below her, so you can't see her legs, and so you just see this person floating 50 feet above
Green
the ground,
head, yeah.
and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
Now that is just one person flying, and that floors the audience every time. Like when you see Wicked, that you're waiting for that moment because you
Yeah.
know how epic it's going to be, and it is just that epic. And so,
Dementors,
since
yeah.
this is Wizards as well, I was always thinking about Wicked. I had this sort of comparison going on in my head
Yeah.
because I remembered vividly a lot of things about Wicked, and I just realized Wicked is so simple because it has like one move that it does. It's a beautiful show and it's great music and la la la.
So I think,
but this is full of it.
I think that just generally the stage tech has like evolved so much. I mean, like the last. I mean, this is not a good example, but Spider-Man the musical, the Turn Off the Dark, which was done by U2 guys. It was Bono on the Edge. Okay, so I really love that soundtrack and I really love the story. I like read whatever has been put up online. But yeah, that's got like Spider-Man versus the Green Goblin, like literally all over the place, and they use the same technology that they use for cameras. You know, the Spider Cam in like stadiums, which is basically on four crosses, like, and it can move like height, like length, distance, whatever. And so I think I'm not surprised at all that they don't have Quidditch in like this, like much Quidditch, or it's only reference, I think, right?
Yeah, I mean they have brooms. They have like Madam Hooch teaches them how to fly. So they have like a little tiny bits of it.
No, he couldn't lift his broom. Remember, he's the only guy who couldn't lift his broom.
Right. Yeah. But the other students do. Yeah. So there's some flight.
Yeah. So I mean, so there obviously there is there's I think also Delphi just flies by herself.
Right.
Yeah. She has the master of the power of flight.
Levitates.
Nobody knows how to do that. So so I'm not surprised that there isn't much of it, but they had to kind of do that just to showcase the ability to do these things. Coming back to the story though, so just to wrap up, final thoughts. Do you think few questions.
Okay.
Do you think they're going to make the movie in the next 10 years when Daniel Radcliffe can play the part? Or
as of like literally an hour ago, Radcliffe said that, have we all heard about what he said? He said that, like, I don't want to do it right now, but I don't want to say no. He compared himself to Harrison Ford, which I thought was incredibly presumpous. He's like, well, this is kind of like what Han Solo must have felt like. He said no for a long time and then eventually did it.
No,
like,
it's fair enough.
It's fair, but please don't.
I know.
Okay, like,
don't go there.
It's Han YOLO, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they said that Warner Brothers is trying to do it by 2020.
Yeah,
and so he's
sense.
like, I don't want to do it that quickly. So
but
I'll say no
2020
for now.
is
now.
Oh, yeah, it is now. It's 4 years.
You'd have to start the movie now.
He is he's our age, so he's like about 27, 28.
But he's a method actor, so he could do whatever he wants.
He's actually already played a father in a movie, which was like a couple of years ago. I can't remember which one. But he has a kid, which is not believable at all, by the way.
Also in the Harry Potter, like the 7th movie.
That
was really ugly.
It was ugly. It was like adding a fake paunch.
They're not going to Benjamin Button him.
Yeah. I mean,
they would have to. That's
they would
all
have to. Yeah. But yeah, I can totally see this happening in 10 years when he is the same age as the character, which is like 37, 38.
Would it not throw you off more if none of the original cast, none of the core members came back, including Radcliffe, but if only Radcliffe comes back and then Rupert Grint and Emma Watson and all the others don't come back,
that'd be super odd,
that would be weirder than anything else. Like,
well, Alan Rickman ain't coming back.
I know.
Yeah.
So to that end, Alan Rickman isn't coming back, Dumbledore isn't coming back.
Don't be harsh.
No,
so I mean,
Dumbledore's, he's still alive.
Fred who died.
Oh, they changed it.
The first, the first Richard Harris
version 2 is coming back. Yeah.
Michael Gambon.
But you know what I mean? It's like when you make the movie and the big Snape reveal moment happens, it's not gonna hit the audience the way like when we see Han Solo again. Because it's not him.
Unless CGI.
Oh god.
Yeah, it's very possible.
It could be Andy Serkis in a Alan Rickman costume.
No, but like
mocap.
Nothing is impossible anymore. Like
Absolutely.
I mean, Fast and Furious when they got this guy Paul.
Right.
That was super. The CGI. Paul Walker's
Walker,
brother.
But they did it, and it was flawless almost. Like the way you see it at the end, it's there.
Yeah.
But 10 years from now, who knows what's possible, man? It's very possible, and it would shake everyone. Like that would
it would destroy you.
Yeah, it would destroy you.
Destroy you.
So I mean, I would watch this movie, and I still really like this book though. So Neha, come on, defend your argument.
Why I hated it?
No, don't defend your argument for that. Okay. Tell me what is the biggest redeeming factor about this?
The biggest, I think, Scorpius would be because there was a great friendship.
Yeah.
See, there was a great friendship to read about, and it's new. It's something you haven't already dealt with a bunch of times, and he was such a humanizing factor to this little emo kid. So it was nice to have this happen. And so daddy issues cool, makes sense. And I think just the thought that this would be a great play kept me going, so I guess it's fine. I can deal with it.
But it works better. I think Dinkar is right. No, it definitely will work better as a play. This is, I mean...
I love Black Hermione.
As a play, wait.
I think I prefer...
Black Hermione.
I prefer Black Hermione to Emma Watson.
she's they cast her as a black person.
Wait, hang on. You said it'll be better as a play then?
As in, it's better. It's a better watch for sure.
Obviously.
No, so I mean, if this was going to be a book, I think I would have read way differently. I mean,
because you would have more.
You
can write more words.
No, my point is that I don't think it would have been the same story. Like, I don't think it would have been the same story at all. Yeah,
maybe.
I think I think a lot of it has to do like time travel, things like using the polyjuice potion. These are elements that you really want to see on stage. Like all Harry Potter fans want to see those things. I mean, obviously come alive. Sure. I told you we're already in an age of throwback, so this is
that being said, now that you mentioned that, I think about it that the freaking Wizarding World of Harry Potter is a thing, right?
It's a thing.
So we're already spoiled by that. And like I have friends of mine that have been, just rave about it, and I'm sure it's as epic as you might think. So the Uber fans who can afford tickets to this thing right now will probably also have been to the Wizarding World and been in Gringotts and had been to Hogsmeade and done all that stuff and experienced like lived in that world. So now if the new thing is coming up and it's a play, it better. You're right. It's like it has to top that.
It has to top that.
It has to top that.
And the other
which
thing
is a living, breathing Hogwarts.
Yeah, well, but they didn't get to go for Books on Toast, Harry Potter extravaganza. That was way cool.
I'm sure the staff at Hogsmeade plays beer pong every night.
It's Quidditch pong, Jishnu. It's Quidditch pong. All right.
Butter beer pong.
Cool. So, any final thoughts? Are we good? I think overall this is not a terrible book. It's not a book.
I think the one thing you can take away from me is that I liked it so much, or rather that I was so caught up in it so much that immediately I went and was disappointed to see that Netflix does not have the movies. Netflix India doesn't have the Harry Potter movies. Okay. Because I immediately want to go back and watch the Deathly Hallows.
Do you wanna end this on a low? Is that why you want to watch the movies?
Well, I'm saying
because those movies suck.
No, but that's the thing. Like it got me back in the world. Like I want to see the movies again. I want to give them a second shot because I was like, damn, I missed Harry Potter.
Nice. Yeah. So what did you do to deal with like this little space?
I was alright. I mean, like, see, I've already done the whole Pottermore thing. I started doing it.
I never
way back when it started.
I just got sorted again. I should do it again.
But are you in the Ilvermany?
But there's
so I'll tell you what I am excited about.
All magic to me.
I'm excited about. I'm kind of excited about Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
I am really
for the
excited.
simple reason that
again,
we have left these characters behind, and we are in a different age, different time.
Yeah.
So and I just want to see new. So why you even like Scorpius is because he's fresh, he's new.
Character.
Again, this is my friggin' Force Awakens comparison that kept on happening. I was like, I loved the moments when we're not with Harry, Ron, and Hermione because I'm like, I'm done with you guys.
Yeah.
And Scorpius and Albus are great. So like that's basically Finn and Rey all over again.
Yeah.
And now when I think about Fantastic Beasts, I'm like, wow, this is their Rogue One. Great, awesome.
Yeah,
do it.
it is.
Like
exactly.
it's the exact same
But
premise.
I'm really excited to see Luke Skywalker again. It's gonna make me cry a little bit.
That's your Snape. Like
that's your Snape.
That's my Snape.
That's the Snape.
Always.
Yeah, of course. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, always.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. So okay, cool.
Just let it in.
All right.
That line never made it into the movie, did it?
No, that's
Nobody
something
says it, right?
That's something you said.
Just let
Oh
it.
no, that's
in
not
the trailer.
True. It's Maskanada's cut line. Yeah. It's in the deleted scenes. All right. Ended it with Star Wars as usual. All right, cool. That's what we end the show with. All right. Bye, guys.
Subtle plugins. Bye.
Now, I know the fan garage seems like a place which my mother fears I'll spend the rest of my adult life in, but fortunately for her, it's actually a great podcast on sports. Something else she wishes I chose instead of being a nerd. Get your daily news on all the action going on in cricket, fantasy cricket, and Indian football every day on iTunes, Stitcher, or even the IVM Podcast app.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is your captain speaking. Sorry to say, but there's been a slight delay due to the apocalypse having suddenly begun. As you can see, there's death, destruction, and chaos taking place all around us. But don't you worry, food and drinks will be served shortly, and I would recommend checking out IVM Podcasts to get some of your favorite Indian podcasts. We'll keep you going till this whole thing blows over. Thank you.